In Reston, Fairfax County Police say the man was hit by a vehicle on southbound Reston Parkway near Stratford House Place shortly before 8 o'clock this morning. He was taken to a hospital but later died. The driver of the vehicle that hit him did stay on the scene. D.C. police are investigating after a man was shot and killed outside the L'Enfant Plaza metro station. The victim was hit by gunfire that also shattered a glass bus shelter on Maryland Avenue Southwest a little before 4:30 this morning. He was later pronounced dead at a hospital. The suspect is described as 5'6", black, and wearing dark clothing. The post-Christmas travel surge is already underway. Solid lines for outbound planes were evident at Reagan National first thing this morning, but they moved along pretty well, and delays were few. I'm Rick Hoschel, and you're looking for news for Black America. Go to newsone.com.
All right. Welcome back to Igniting Change with Barbara Arnwine. I'm your co-host, Attorney Daryl Jones, the board chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition, and we are so excited that you have decided to join us this Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time at noon, for Igniting Change. Folks, join us next Tuesday as well, and don't miss a Tuesday because we're going to be continuing to bring you breaking news, exciting news, and informative analysis on what's happening across the United States. We're so excited to have with us today the first African-American state senator out of the state of Massachusetts in the person of Dianne Wilkerson, who is also the treasurer for the Transformative Justice Coalition. We also have with us the former president of the National Organization for Women, has her own podcast now, What Equality Looks Like. She's none other than our board secretary for the Transformative Justice Coalition, Terry O'Neill. And we also have with us just an outstanding professor, a historian, a well-rounded person, well-thought-out person, a strong analytical mind. He's a member of the African American Policy Forum. He's Professor Ernest Quarles. So, Professor Quarles, as we were going into our break, we were talking about the training and stuff that our young people are going through the Transformative Justice Coalition and, what we think 2024 is going to look like. And I've got to ask you, as we prepare to go into 2024 and to close out 2023, do you think there are some important lessons that our young people have now seen that will be carrying forward into 2024? Is there some grassroots organizing piece that's out there that you think is just essential for our young people?
Absolutely, Daryl. I think, my observation has been young people are dissatisfied with the traditional news media, especially with local news. And in the past, really, their engagement on digital platforms and social media has been really a crucial part of their civic and political engagement. And that was never ever more obvious to us than 2020. So social media doesn't just have extraordinary reach. It allows many young people to not just consume, but to create content that uplifts their views and their voices. So I think, that's something that we in grassroots organizations need to be very mindful of, as much as, I guess, and clearly TJC has done an incredible job with this, but I think there's also education that needs to be had with some of the other organizations out there to not be so fearful of this young youth voice. In the same way that Ella Baker worked, in conjunction with NACP and SCLC, and then realized that the future was in SNP. So we've got to have people open-minded enough to have faith in our young people. And going back to what Dianne said, their contribution historically to our movements, and basically be able to let them take the baton and roll.
Yes. And Ernie, thank you so much, Professor Quarles, for putting that out, because we are grateful for our partners who work with us. We're grateful for the Black Voters Matter. We're grateful for the Hip Hop Caucus, the League of Women Voters, who have been there with us continually for our training events, who have been amazing, leaders and partners in activating our young people. We have nationwide, everyone, over 175 national, state, and local partners who work with us throughout 26 states. But it is so imperative that all the organizations, I challenge every one of the big eight, and I know National Urban League has a great youth core, but I challenge every single organization to have real strong focus on enriching our young people. The legacy of Ella Baker is one that we have to embrace, but we also have to teach them the creativity and beauty of the mind of a Pauli Murray. All of these are, our heritage, and it's what's carrying us through, and it's what will carry us forward in these horrible, horrific times. I want to ask Dianne the same question.
I'm sorry, Barbara.
What are to you is the biggest lesson that people should learn from 2023 as we go ahead into 2024?
I did that one. Absolutely, I did that one. That's the one. It's about young people.
Yes,
it is about
yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
And Barbara, if I could, this is my time to do what I have to do. JC, you mentioned, we talk about the work. You mentioned, a not-for-profit organization, and people can donate. I want to urge people to donate. TJCcoalition.org. Just go on. You'll see the donate button. They always say freedom ain't free, but the work that we've done and the young people that we've touched and the plan for increasing those numbers in 2024, we need the help and support of all of the listeners out there. There's no amount too small and certainly no amount too big. But please, I'm asking at the end of this year when people are trying to figure out, haven't quite finished their giving, this is the time to do it. Donate to TJC. Trust me, your money will be well spent.
That's for sure.
And thank you for that, Dianne. You and Terry both had the opportunity to be with us in Northern Virginia when we went in and we did a community activation. Folks sometimes get confused. They think that TJC only concentrates on the African-American population. But when we went into Northern Virginia, we were there with our Latino brothers and sisters and going in to be certain that they had the opportunity to see us in action and to understand that their fight for voting rights is our fight for voting rights as well. So, we want to be certain, Dianne and Terry, that we recognize that we're not in a pigeonhole here with TJC. If your voting rights are under attack, we're there. We're going to be there fighting side by side with you. And could one of you just share really briefly on that experience in Northern Virginia with those Latino voters?
But Terry, please jump in. But Daryl, that's what I meant when I said it's not just about Black children's faces when we're handing them those books. I was thinking about that Virginia experience.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and and I think that is really the magic of Transformative Justice Coalition. Everywhere TJC goes, it very intentionally partners up and connects up with on the ground community organizing, and so it expands the work of TJC. And it also informs the intersectional analysis that TJC brings to the work. So in Northern Virginia, working with Latino voters, Latina voters, and also through the banned book effort, working with LGBTQ activists. So TJC is very broad and really doing essential work.
And I want to point out, I want everyone to, Diane, we can hear you. I want to point out to everyone very, very, very strongly that TJC, we understand that the African-American community is fundamental to our fight for democracy. The Voting Rights Act, very much because of the sacrifices of our community. But we want everyone also to understand that so goes the African-American community, so goes America. I want people to understand that we are committed to a multiracial America, multiracial democracy. And to get there, that means we all have to link arms Latino, Black, Native American, and Asian American, and white Americans. We need to all link arms together in one common vision of a free society where people don't tell you what you can't study, where people don't get out talking about you can't be LGBTQIA and say gay, and it turns out that you're having sex with women and men and all kind of stuff, and just not being honest about who you are and try to suppress everybody else. We got to have a society where any and everybody can vote according to their best ability, instead of people trying to keep you from voting because they fear how you might vote. This is what we're fighting for. We don't want to be any confusion. We must have a just, inclusive, multiracial democracy. Without it, we fail. Right, everybody?
Absolutely. Amen.
That's right.
In fact, Barbara, just to piggyback on what you just said, the whole idea here, what's happening is Trump is taking all the oxygen. And so as a result of that, people feel like there's a lot of noise out there. It's like a food fight in a high school cafeteria. And it makes votes feel less powerful and less seen and heard on issues that are important to them. And what TJC is doing is saying it doesn't matter who you are. If you're an immigrant who's concerned about affordable housing and be there to support you. And that's what people need to understand. It's about voting empowerment.
And Daryl,
Quarles, if people want to reach you, how do they reach you, Professor Quarles? EQUARLE1@jhu.edu. All right. And the same question of you, Dianne Wilkerson. If people want to reach you, they want to reach this former state senator who's now the treasurer of the Transformative Justice Coalition because they want to donate money. How do they reach you, Dianne?
Oh, absolutely. New Day, one word, and that's what it is for 2024. newday.bw52@gmail.com. Thank you, Daryl.
And Terry, our board secretary, same question of you. People are they want to talk to the former president of the National Organization for Women because they love what this attorney is saying. How do they reach you, Terry?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Terry O'Neill, Terry with a Y and 2 L's in O'Neill.
And how do they get to your podcast?
Well, the podcast is on hiatus right now, but you can. I have another podcast which actually is also on hiatus. They can go to Persisting Podcast at persistingpodcast.org. And I'm still looking at what equality looks like and seeing what to do with that.
And Barbara, I know we want to encourage all of our listeners that if you know someone between the ages of 18 and 35, we have our next training for our TJC fellows coming up from April the 3rd to the 7th in Phoenix, Arizona. You can go to tjcoalition.org, tjcoalition.org to get more information regarding that training. Don't miss out on it. Barbara, any closing messages before I close it out?
Yes, just again, everyone, Barigati, Umoza, we really would hope you to have a wonderful Kwanzaa. We wish the best for everyone out there. Love and joy and peace to all our TJC fellows and alumni and our social media ambassadors. We will see you next week. Right, Daryl?
Absolutely. Folks, get off the sidewalks, get into the streets, get to those ballot boxes, and let's get our votes on. Peace, everybody. Until next week.
Good afternoon. This WOL Traffic Update is sponsored by Unbound.org. DC 295 southbound is slow from Eastern Avenue down to Pennsylvania Avenue. Northbound on 295, you find that heavy from Pennsylvania Avenue around to East Capitol Street. Northbound on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, pretty heavy. Greenbelt Road up to 197 around the Beltway now. Several stretches of slow traffic to get on your way now. Interloop 210 to Route 1. Alexander across the Wilson Bridge is very slow. Also on the Interloop, you'll find it slow from 202 to Ritchie Marlborough Road. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out, change their world, and it'll change your own. Unbound.org. Now your WOL weather forecast for today. Rain, high near 50 degrees. Some more rain after midnight tonight. Down to 46 for low. Tomorrow, another rainy day and a high near 56 right now. DC, light rain and 48 degrees. Steve Hirschhorn for News Talk.